This is Jambiz. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please hit that one right there. Hit that subscribe button and join Team Jambiz. It is absolutely free to subscribe and join the team, join the channel. Absolutely free. It helps support my channel. So subscribe. I was just about to record the video and baby woke up and decided he's gonna be a part of it. He has to feed. I am his sustenance. And it is okay. It is a natural process. I hope it does. You're here to hear about the CS delivery story. So if this bothers you, you're in the wrong place. You're definitely in the wrong place. Don't worry, there'll be no indecent exposure. Baby is just breastfeeding. It is a natural process. It is a natural process, a nurturing process, a nourishing process. Okay, I'll quit with that. Anyway, for what brought you here? Let's just go straight into it. My CS delivery story for baby number 3. CS delivery story. Let me tell you guys, let me tell you, when they say experiences differ, and that doesn't mean from person to person. Sometimes it can mean from your first to your second pregnancy or your first to your second CS. Let me tell you, this time around my CS was nothing like my first CS. If you want to know how my first CS is, I did do a CS delivery story like when my daughter was born all those many years ago, 3 years ago. You can check it out on this link here. Is it usually here? You can check it out on the link above. So, yes, my CS delivery story. Oh, let's get started. This one is gonna be a rough one. I'm gonna warn you in advance. So I opted to go into CS obviously because, and I'm giving this a little bit of background for the YouTube audience because on TikTok they already know. They already know. But for the YouTube audience, I decided to go to CS because obviously I had already done a previous CS in 2021, and going back to do a vaginal birth after CS of course has its risks, and I wasn't willing to test it out, to be honest. Because I don't feel like 3 years is sufficient time to try, and for myself personally, to try and go back. Also, on top of, I had a previous CS car, I also wanted to do a BTL, which is a bilateral tubal ligation during the CS, which I did do. I did do the tubal ligation. I'll give updates on that a bit later on when enough time has passed. And yeah, that's it. That is it. And of course, also there was the added complication, although that one either way could have gone for normal regardless. The added complication of baby had a nuchal cord, which is the cord around the neck, wrapped around the neck. It was loose, it was not affecting him, but it complicates things a little bit during delivery, especially if you go into labor. But just a little bit. It's still something people do, even it's still, you can still go for normal delivery even with a nuchal cord. Anyway, I digress. So I was going for an elective CS. I had already booked the CS with my gyna, which happened to be the same gyna that delivered my daughter in 2021 with my first CS. The same gyna who did the first CS. Then I booked my CS on the 16th of May. So I was supposed to check in on the 15th in the evening so that I get admitted, sleep in the hospital, then we do the CS in the morning on the 16th of May. If you're curious how we came about that date, it was after I had hit 38 weeks. I hit 38 weeks the previous week. No, that week actually. I hit 38 weeks on Monday. I had the CS on Thursday. I was 38 weeks and 4 days at that point. The way we came up with the date is, of course, I had to be full term, which is 38 weeks. And also, no, my light is going. And also, and also on top of being full term, I needed to pick a date that was not too late so that I don't go into labor before we do the CS. And my doctor's availability, of course, played a role into it. So after I turned 38 weeks, she gave me two options of two dates. I chose one, which was the 16th of May, and that's what we went with. So fast forward to 15th May, I went and checked into the hospital. I was admitted, went through the processes where they draw your blood, do a couple of tests. They do a couple of lab tests to ensure everything is good, and of course to reconfirm your blood type and all that good stuff in case you require blood during the operation. You're required to also have at least one blood donor if you're going for an elective CS at this hospital. My donor was my partner, so I just came with him. And then what else? Yeah, we checked in. We checked into the hospital. We were admitted, notified NHIF that I've checked in so that they can pre-approve, cover whatever portion of the bill they were to sort. And that went well. I was worried a bit about NHIF, but that went well. I was admitted. I spent the night at the hospital. I was advised not to eat anything past midnight because, of course, I was going into surgery in the morning. So the last meal I had was around 10 p.m. was the last meal, and I even had a light meal. I didn't want to do a heavy meal and then, complicate my life. I had a light meal at 10 p.m., which in retrospect, I should probably have eaten well because in the morning I was hungry. Remember, I'm 9 months pregnant at this point. In the morning, I was so hungry. So in the morning, I woke up, I took a shower, so that I can. In fact, the nurse who was prepping me for surgery is the one who woke me up, told me, well, we're gonna start with giving you a drip of some water. I'm not sure. I'm not a medical professional, and I don't remember what it was called right now. Maybe sodium something. I'm not sure. There's some IV fluids they needed to, put in. So I went and took a shower, finished. When I finished, he came and put in the IV. I got that, whatever water that was, of course, coming into my system. This was around, 6 a.m., I believe? 6:30 maybe. Around 6:30, they put in that IV because I needed to finish that pack of water, get it all in my system before I go for surgery. Now, let me tell you, this is where stuff started happening. Now, I mentioned in my previous CS, I started to shiver and feel so cold after surgery. Now, this one happened pre-surgery, I think because of whatever fluids they were putting into my system. One, they were cold, because the doctor told me the shivering, I went into serious shivers. I was freezing, shaking. And the only thing that put it is whatever fluid that was into my system. But oh my God, I was freezing. And remember, it's an IV, so it's directly into your vein. I was freezing. I was shivering. Like an hour, 2 hours after they put in that fluid, I was shivering. The doctor told me it could be a combination of the fact that the liquid was very cold. So obviously, as it's going directly into my bloodstream, it's cooling me. And then anxiety, which I can't believe because I was a bit anxious. Not a bit, very anxious. I don't like theater. I do not like surgery at all. It's just that I really didn't have much of a choice. It was the safest and best way to deliver this baby this time around. It was the best outcome or the best process to go through. So I was definitely anxious. I was shivering. I was freezing. Even my husband, my hubby was a bit. He was a bit worried for me because he didn't see it last time being that bad. But I was shivering, I was so cold, I was shaking so much. After the fluids ran out, I stopped shivering. So I think that IV had something to do with it. But anyway, after the fluids ran out, I stopped shivering. They checked my blood pressure. It was quite elevated. Again, I think anxiety. My blood pressure was quite high, despite the fact that this time around my blood pressure has really behaved during pregnancy. But on the day of delivery, it was quite high. But anxiety probably had a lot to do with that as well. Took my vitals, checked my BP, checked my temperature, prepped me for surgery. The anesthesiologist came in and talked to me about if I've gone on anesthesia before, if I had any adverse reactions, which I didn't. I told her about the shivering last time. She said that's normal, it can happen. And then she talked me through what's gonna happen. I asked her if she can put in. It wasn't the same anesthesiologist as last time. I had a different one. This time it was a lady. The last one was a guy. I asked her if she can put in the catheter before, if she can numb me before they put in the catheter as they did last time, and I got a no. She was very adamant that it's better to inject me with anesthesia for as short a period as possibly necessary, because you don't want the body to be under anesthesia for too long unnecessarily. And if they have to inject me before they put in the catheter, that's extra time that I'll be under anesthesia, even if it's localized, but still. So she was very adamant. It's definitely, she said it's not ideal. She was adamant about not doing it prior, and I kinda respect that, actually, after the events that I will share with you that unfolded. But yeah, I requested that. She explained to me why it's not ideal to do it prior, because even with the catheter, that helps them gauge how well the meds have kicked in, depending on if you can feel the discomfort of that after they've injected you with anesthesia and all that good stuff. So anyway, the anesthesiologist came, talked to me, walked me through what's gonna happen, and then a while later we went into theater. I think I was wheeled into theater around maybe some minutes to 10 a.m. I don't remember very well because I didn't check my time at that time. I was wheeled into theater. Then when we were in theater, of course, the first things first was to put in the catheter, which, without being numbed, I'm so grateful last time they numbed me. Without being numbed, that thing is painful. That thing is very uncomfortable. It's highly uncomfortable. I did not like it at all. They put in the catheter, which was very painful, and then they injected me in the back, of course in the spine, with anesthesia. Now the difference again between this time and last time I had a single injection into my spine of the anesthesia. It was quick, it was easy. I even mentioned, I don't know why people complain about pain with the needle, with that needle, because last time I really didn't feel any pain outside the normal needle pain. Let me tell you, this time around, that thing was injected into my back a couple of times, because I think my back was a bit stiff, so she was not able to get exactly the right positioning she wanted. I was injected a couple of times and I hated it. It was so painful. It was so painful because, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This time, I understand what people say about the pain of that needle. It was very painful. I did hear my gyna ask if it was the long needle or the short needle, which the anesthesiologist responded it was the short needle, which I suppose is more painful than the long needle, which I guess is what I had last time. I don't know. I'm not, remember, again, I'm in theater, I'm in pain, so I don't know if I followed that through properly, that conversation properly, but I know it was painful. So after several jabs in my spine, in my back, we finally got the anesthesia, then put me back on the table. And then just when the surgery was about to start, I started feeling like vomiting. I have heard of this happening. Didn't happen to me again with my first CS. Remember, my doctor is still the same, but the anesthesiologist was different. Maybe the medication was different. My body had a different reaction to it. It has been 3 years after all. I do not know. All I know is, guys, I started feeling like vomiting, and I alerted my anesthesiologist because they usually stay on this side of, when they put you on the table, they put a screen obviously between you and the operation down here. This is a local anesthesia, remember? So I'm awake. I'm just numb from here, from my torso down, all the way down to my legs. But the anesthesiologist is usually on this side of your body, on the head side, talking to you. They actually talk to you, make sure you're doing okay, everything feels fine. Even as the numbing starts, they tell you to try and lift your legs, move your legs, see if your legs are getting heavier. Are you feeling the catheter discomfort anymore, or has it numbed? Yeah, just to gauge that the anesthesia has kicked in. Anyway, I alerted my anesthesiologist that I felt like vomiting, and they put, because at this point I'm lying down, I can't move anything except my hands and my head. They put a piece of cloth on my side so that if I vomit, I can vomit on that. And I did vomit. Remember, I've not eaten for hours at this point, so I don't even have food to vomit. I was just vomiting fluid, that yellowish, acidy stomach fluid. I vomited for a bit, quite a number of times, just little bits of that liquid. And then the surgery went on. Then they put in something in my drip. One of the many drips, one of the drips connected to my hand, they put something in my drip to help with the nausea. And it kicked in. I stopped vomiting. They cut me open to take out the baby. And then, let me tell you something, guys. I know this story is a bit, I'm not trying to scare anyone, by the way, but this was my experience. When they cut me open, of course, they try and play around with the stomach to push the baby out. The baby wasn't coming out. So they started pushing at the top of my belly at that time, where between my chest and my stomach. And they told me, you'll feel pressure, but everything is good. And then they pressed. Let me tell you, I felt as if my whole chest had collapsed. My lungs had collapsed and I could not breathe when they put that pressure. In fact, I shouted, I screamed my chest in the theater. And they told me, breathe, Elizabeth, breathe. Oh my God, it was so uncomfortable. I felt like someone had literally crushed my chest. But the baby did come out. They pushed down, baby came out, and as soon as the baby came out, I felt relief. I breathed in and I felt so much relief. Like, it's like the baby was literally pressed against my lungs or my diaphragm or whatever. I could not breathe properly. As soon as the baby came out, I felt like I could breathe again, like I wasn't breathing before, which explains the shortness of breath. But oh my God, that pressure they applied, I felt like this is it. This is how I go. This is it. My lungs have collapsed. I'm done for. I'm done for. And then I felt the baby come out. You do feel pressure and such things, just not pain. I felt the baby come out, felt the relief. I felt better. I felt so much better after the baby came out. And then, of course, they started now taking care of the baby on one side, closing me up. Actually, not even closing me up, but now they got into whatever post-surgery stuff they're doing in there, as well as the BTL, now the tubal ligation, and then closing me up. The baby was taken care of, covered up a bit, and then brought to me, to my face, to say hi, to announce the gender. That's my favorite part of delivery. Where they bring the baby to your face and you bond a little bit, and then they show you the genitalia so that you can confirm the gender of your baby. And I announced the gender, it's a boy, and I was so happy. And from there on, now everything felt okay. I stopped suffering. I stopped suffering. I started now talking to the doctor. I reminded my gyna a couple of times to not forget the BTL. Tie those tubes, cut those tubes, burn those tubes, whatever you're doing, do it, make it permanent. And then I started talking, I started feeling so much better. And yeah, that was it. After everything was done, the BTL was done, they cleaned me up, closed me up. I was taken to the recovery room where they observe you now post theater. They don't take you straight back into the ward. They observe you for like an hour, make sure you're doing good, your vitals are good, your uterus is contracting normally, your postpartum bleeding is normal, and observe you for that 1 hour, take your blood pressure, your temperature. They basically monitor you to make sure everything is good. After an hour at the recovery, I was taken back to my room in the maternity ward where I now got introduced to my baby, which is the photo you would have seen. YouTube, you haven't, I'll insert it here. Which is the photo you'd have seen of the announcement of the baby. I was introduced to my baby. My baby was brought in. I said hi. I was so excited. And then, yeah, several hours went. Actually, no, this is an important part of the story. This time again with the CS, another hard part I felt was harder this time than the first CS is after I came back, met my baby, like an hour or so into just lying down. Remember, at this point, I'm just lying on the bed because I'm still numb. This time, my anesthesia wore off faster, like my doctor said. Hmm? Like the anesthesiologist said, this time around, you're finished. Where was I? Baby's finished with this business. I was saying this time around with my CS, my anesthesia wore off a lot faster than before, than the last CS. The last CS, I think I went for quite a number of hours before my anesthesia wore off. This time around, within an hour or so, I could already move my toes. Within like 2 hours, my legs, feelings in my legs were coming back and my scar started to pain. And I'm talking about some serious pain. Last time I did not experience that. Remember, at this point, I'm lying down flat on my back because I can't move. Baby came, they took him back to the nursery. They gave me a bit of time with the baby, and my partner also got to spend some time with the baby. Then he was taken back to the nursery to allow me time to recover. And let me tell you, Mina, lying there for those hours was excruciatingly difficult. One, this time around, my scar started paining. My pain came back a lot faster. And then I talked to the nurse. I told them I'm in a lot of pain with the incision, where the incision was. I'm in a lot of pain. And she said she'll bring me painkillers. And she took a bit of time to bring those to me. And when they brought the painkiller, obviously it's the IV. So after a couple of hours, they brought a painkiller, they put in the IV, and let me tell you, I watched that thing drip and get into my system, but the pain was not going away. The pain just reduced a little bit, and I told her this, and she said, well, that's the painkillers, there's not much they can do. Which I came to find out the next day, actually, there is something they can do, but anyway, story for another day. That I think that nurse was just having an off day. Anyway, so I suffered through my pain. I lay there for hours. I couldn't move. I was in a lot of pain. But this time around, at least things were not as bad. Last time I did have a bit of excessive bleeding. This time around, that didn't happen. The bleeding was normal. It was okay. The pain was a lot. I couldn't move for a longer period this time around. I stayed in bed for a longer period this time around than the first time around. I finished, my surgery was over at, I think, some minutes to 11. My surgery was over a few minutes to 11, but I got to move, what, like 7 hours later. I got out of bed 7 hours later, or even 8 hours later. At night, it was at night. My surgery ended at 11, recovery for 1 hour up to 12 p.m. At the recovery room. When I came back to the room from 12, all the way till around 7, 8 p.m. in the 6, no, 7, around 7 p.m. in the evening is when the catheter was removed and I was now encouraged to walk, which, oh my god, oh my goodness, as if lying down all day had not been exhausting. And by then it had been very exhausting for me to lie down flat on my back the whole day. My back was exhausted and I didn't feel, my back was exhausted and I didn't feel that the first time around. I really got tired just lying down on my back. And then once, and again, the pain also not a fan. And then when it was time for me to now get out of bed, removing the catheter, I felt that was painful more than the last time. Again, maybe it's because the pain meds I had this time were not as strong. Removing the catheter, that was painful. Getting up to walk, oh, for the first time was excruciating. It was excruciating just standing up. Just getting out of bed and standing up was excruciatingly painful. And then walking to the bathroom, because they encourage you to go to the bathroom, then coming back. But after that first day, once I had walked a bit more, they gave me some medications as a, what are they called, suppository, to put in back there. That definitely eased the pain a lot more. On top of the IV painkiller, the suppository usually really helped. So from there on, I'd get the painkiller with the IV and the suppository, which was the same case as I was in a semi-private room, so there were two of us in the room and I could hear the same thing was happening to the person next to me, who went into theater immediately after me to deliver her baby as well. But the first day was rough. I will not lie, that first day was rough. After I started walking, things got a bit easier. The next day was a lot better, because the medication now was coming in, the painkiller with the IV and the suppository, which was, I feel like, helped ease the pain a lot more. So there was not as much pain on day 2. And then the bleeding this time around was not as heavy. The first time I had very heavy postpartum bleeding. Even after, leave alone the excessive bleeding that was a problem, just the regular postpartum bleeding was heavy. This time around, it was much lighter, much more manageable. And then it was a lot easier. Now from day 2, after I started moving around, it was a lot easier to manage. So the moving around, the walking around really helped a lot. Going to pee really helped a lot, because if you held in pee, it made the pain a bit worse, and it made walking a lot more difficult when the pain is worse. So peeing more often, at least that's one thing I learned from my first CS, is you want to be moving around, walking around, pee as much and as often as you can, because it also helps. Then from day 2, day 3, everything after that was not as terrible. Things eased up with time. As you can see, this is 1 week later. I am doing much better. 1.5 weeks actually. I'm feeling and doing much better. I went in for my 1 week review on Friday. Today is Monday. I went in for my 1 week review on Friday. My gyna said everything is healing well, everything is progressing well. I was given the go ahead to shower, because after CS you can't have water touch your scar, because that could get it infected. So you usually do sponge baths, and let me tell you, sponge baths are not fun. For a whole week, they're not fun. Let me tell you, when the option of showering is taken away, you come to appreciate a nice hot running shower. Anyway, after little guy has decided he wants to be in my arms for the rest of this video. But anyway, it's about time we summarize. I think it's been very long. So like I was saying, after my 1 week review, I was told everything is healing up nicely. And I was told I can take a shower, which I gladly did when I got home that evening. Oh, it was nice. It was nice. So yeah, the healing is going well. Baby is progressing well. As you can see, he's gotten bigger. I will introduce the baby in the next video on here on YouTube. And we'll talk about his 1 week, his first week into the world. So yeah, everything healing, progressing well. And that's my CS delivery story. I hope it doesn't freak you out. Experiences are different. Like I said, my first CS was a lot easier. Actually, my first CS was a lot easier during the CS. And during the CS it was a lot easier, but post the recovery part of it was a lot harder. This one, the CS itself was difficult, but after the day of the CS, which was on the 16th, after the 17th, the recovery has been a lot easier, a lot smoother. Maybe it's because I knew what to expect and what to do to help move it along better. But I feel like this time around, the recovery process has been a lot smoother and a lot easier for me. So yeah, experiences are different. This is not to freak you out. Experiences differ. Like you see, this is my first and second CS, and they're like day and night. And that's okay. That's okay. As long as everything goes smoothly, as long as you and baby are healthy and recover well, that's all that matters. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this very long video. Thank you so much for watching this long video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big, give them a big thumbs up. Give it a big thumbs up. Like the video, comment below, let me know what you think about that whole story. Let me know if you've been through CS, how your experience was. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you haven't, why haven't you? If you haven't, hit that subscribe button right there. Hit that subscribe button and join Team Jambies. It is absolutely free to subscribe and it helps to support my channel. Again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.